I am Mr. Obsidian. Prepare yourself for the Man of Black.
Monsanto Company was an American agrochemical and agricultural biotechnology corporation founded in 1901 and headquartered in Creve Coeur, Missouri. Monsanto's best-known product is Roundup, a glyphosate-based herbicide developed in the 1970s. Later, the company became a major producer of genetically engineered crops. In 2018, the company ranked 199 on the Fortune 500 of the largest United States corporations by revenue. Company type, public, traded as NYSE, Mon, Industry, Agribusiness, founded September 26, 1901, 123 years ago, reformed in 2000, spun off from Pharmacia Upjohn. Founder, John Francis Queeny, defunct, June 7, 2018. 7 years ago, Fate, acquired by Bayer, headquarters, Creve Coeur, Missouri, U.S. Key people, Hugh Grant, Chairman, President, CEO, Pierre Cordereau, Vice President, CFO. Products, herbicides, crop seeds, GMOs, equivalent, Pharmacia Upjohn, 1999-2000. Bayer AG, 2018 present. Monsanto was one of 4 groups to introduce genes into plants in 1983 and was among the first to conduct field trials of genetically modified crops in 1987. It was one of the top 10 U.S. chemical companies until it divested most of its chemical businesses between 1997 and 2002 through a process of mergers and spin-offs that focused the company on biotechnology. Monsanto was one of the first companies to apply the biotechnology industry business model to agriculture, using techniques developed by biotech drug companies. 2.6. In this business model, companies recoup R&D expenses by exploiting biological patents. Monsanto's roles in agricultural changes, biotechnology products, lobbying of government agencies, and roots as a chemical company have resulted in controversies. The company once manufactured controversial products such as the insecticide DDT, PCBs Agent Orange, and recombinant bovine growth hormone. In September 2016, German chemical company Bayer announced its intent to acquire Monsanto for $66 billion in an all-cash deal. After gaining US and EU regulatory approval, the sale was completed on June 7, 2018. The name Monsanto was no longer used, but Monsanto's previous product brand names were maintained. In June 2020, Bayer agreed to pay numerous settlements in lawsuits involving ex-Monsanto products Roundup, PCBs, and dicamba. Owing to the massive financial and reputational blows caused by ongoing litigation concerning Monsanto's herbicide Roundup, the Bayer-Monsanto merger is considered one of the worst corporate mergers in history. Between 1968 and 1974, the company sponsored the PGA Tour event in Pensacola, Florida, which was renamed the Monsanto Open. In 1974, Harvard University and Monsanto signed a 10-year research grant to support the cancer research of Judah Folkman, which became the largest such arrangement ever made. Medical inventions arising from that research were the first for which Harvard allowed its faculty to submit patent application. 1980 to 1989. Becoming an agrobiotech company, Monsanto scientists were among the first to genetically modify a plant cell, publishing their results in 1983. 5 years later, the company conducted the first field tests of genetically modified crops. Increasing involvement in agricultural biotechnology dates from the installment of Richard Mahoney as Monsanto's CEO in 1983. This involvement increased under the leadership of Robert Shapiro, appointed CEO in 1995, leading ultimately to the disposition of product lines unrelated to agriculture. In 1985, Monsanto acquired G.D. Searle Company, a life sciences company that focused on pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and animal health. In 1993, its Searle division filed a patent application for Celebrex, which in 1998 became the first selective CO2 inhibitor to be approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Celebrex became a blockbuster drug and was often mentioned as a key reason for Pfizer's acquisition of Monsanto's pharmaceutical business in 2002, 1990 to 1999, Monsanto moving into the seed market industry consolidation. In 1994, Monsanto introduced a recombinant version of bovine somatotropin, brand named Posilac. Monsanto later sold this business to Eli Lilly and Company. In 1996, Monsanto purchased Agribusiness, the biotechnology company that had generated the first transgenic cotton, soybeans, peanuts, and other crops, and from which Monsanto had been licensing technology since 1991. In 1997, Monsanto divested Solutia, a company created to carry off the responsibility for Monsanto's PCB business and associated liabilities, along with some related organic chemical production. Monsanto first entered the maize seed business when it purchased 40% of DeKalb in 1996. It purchased the remainder of the corporation in 1998. In 1997, the company first published an annual report citing Monsanto's Law, a biotechnological take on Moore's Law, indicating its future directions and exponential growth in the use of biotechnology. In the same year, Californian GMO company Calgene was acquired. In 1998, Monsanto purchased Cargill's international seed business, which gave it access to sales and distribution facilities in 51 countries. In 2005, it finalized the purchase of Seminis Inc., a leading global vegetable and fruit seed company, for $1.4 billion. This made it the world's largest conventional seed company. In 1999, Monsanto sold off NutraSweet. In December of the same year, Monsanto agreed to merge with Pharmacia Upjohn, in a deal valuing the transaction at $27 billion. The agricultural division became a wholly owned subsidiary of the new Pharmacia, Monsanto's medical research division, which included products such as Celebrex. In 2000, Pharmacia spun off its agrobiotech subsidiary into a new company, the new Monsanto, focused on 4 key agricultural crops: soybeans, maize, wheat, and cotton. Monsanto agreed to indemnify Pharmacia against potential liabilities from judgments against Solutia. As a result, the new Monsanto continued to be a party to numerous lawsuits over the prior Monsanto. Pharmacia was bought by Pfizer in 2003. In 2005, Monsanto acquired Emergent Genetics and its Stoneville and NetGen cotton brands. Emergent was the 3rd largest U.S. cottonseed company, with about 12% of the U.S. market. Monsanto's goal was to obtain a strategic cotton germplasm and traits platform. Also in 2005, Monsanto purchased Seminis, the California-based world leader in vegetable seed production, for $1.4 billion. Seminis developed new vegetable varieties using advanced cross-pollination methods. Monsanto indicated that Seminis would continue with non-GM development while not ruling out GM in the longer term. In June 2007, Monsanto purchased Delta and Pineland Company, a major cotton seed breeder, for $1.5 billion. As a condition for approval from the Department of Justice, Monsanto was obligated to divest its Stoneville cotton business, which it sold to Bayer, and to divest its next-gen cotton business, which it sold to Americot. Monsanto also exited the pig breeding business by selling Monsanto Choice Genetics to Nusion Genetics LC in November, divesting itself of any and all swine-related patents, patent applications, and all other intellectual property. In 2007, Monsanto and BASF announced a long-term agreement to cooperate in the research, development, and marketing of new plant biotechnology products. In 2008, Monsanto purchased Dutch seed company De Ruiter Seeds for €546 million and sold its Parcelac bovine somatotropin brand and related business to Elanco Animal Health, a division of Eli Lilly Co. in August for $300 million, plus additional contingent consideration. In 2012, Monsanto purchased for $210 million Precision Planting Inc., a company that produced computer hardware and software designed to enable farmers to increase yield and productivity through more precise planting. Monsanto purchased San Francisco-based Climate Corp for $930 million in 2013. Climate Corp makes local weather forecasts for farmers based on data modeling and historical data. If the forecasts were wrong, the farmer was compensated. In May 2013, a worldwide protest against Monsanto Corporation, called March Against Monsanto, was held in over 400 cities. A second protest took place in May 2014. Monsanto tried to acquire Swiss agrobiotechnology rival Syngenta for $46.5 billion in 2015, but failed. In that year, Monsanto was the world's biggest supplier of seeds, controlling 26% of the global seed market. DuPont was second with 21%. Monsanto was the only manufacturer of white phosphorus for military use in the U.S. In September 2016, Monsanto agreed to be acquired by Bayer for $66 billion. In an effort to receive regulatory clearance for the deal, Bayer announced the sale of significant portions of its current agriculture businesses, including its seed and herbicide businesses, to BASF. The deal was approved by the European Union on March 21, 2018, and approved in the United States on May 29, 2018. The sale closed on June 7, 2018. Bayer announced its intent to discontinue the Monsanto name, with the combined company operating solely under the Bayer brand. Under the terms of merger, Bayer promised to maintain Monsanto's more than 9,000 U.S. jobs and add 3,000 new U.S. high-tech positions. The prospective merger parties said at the time the combined agriculture business planned to spend $16 billion on research and development over the next 6 years, and at least $8 billion on research and development in the United States. Bayer would also establish its new global seeds traits and North American commercial headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri. The Bayer-Monsanto merger is widely considered to be one of the worst mergers in history, mostly due to the exposure to Roundup litigation. By 2023, Bayer's market value had declined by over 60% since its 2016 merger, leaving the company's overall worth at less than half of what it paid to acquire Monsanto. Following its 1970 introduction, Monsanto's last commercially relevant United States patent on the herbicide glyphosate, brand name Roundup, expired in 2000. Glyphosate has since been marketed by many agrochemical companies in various solution strengths and with various adjuvants under dozens of trade names. As As of 2009, glyphosate represented about 10% of Monsanto's revenue. Roundup-related products, which include genetically modified seeds, represented about half of Monsanto's gross margin. Many of Monsanto's agricultural seed products are genetically modified, such as for resistance to herbicides, including glyphosate and dicamba. Monsanto calls glyphosate-tolerant seeds Roundup Ready. Monsanto's introduction of this system, planting a glyphosate-resistant seed and then applying glyphosate once plants emerged, allowed farmers to increase yield by planting rows closer together. Without it, farmers had to plant rows far enough apart to allow the control of post-emergent weeds with mechanical tillage. Farmers widely adopted the technology. For example, over 80% of maize, soybean, cotton, sugar beet, and canola planted in the United States are glyphosate tolerant. Monsanto developed a Roundup Ready, genetically modified wheat but ended development in 2004 due to concerns from wheat exporters about the rejection of genetically modified wheat by foreign markets. Two patents were critical to Monsanto's GM soybean business. One expired in 2011 and the other in 2014. The second expiration meant that glyphosate-resistant soybeans became generic. The first harvest of generic glyphosate-tolerant soybeans came in 2015. Monsanto broadly licensed the patent to other seed companies that include glyphosate-resistance trait in their seed products. About 150 companies have licensed the technology, including competitors Syngenta and DuPont Pioneer. Monsanto invented and sells genetically modified seeds that make a crystalline insecticidal protein from Bacillus thuringiensis, known as BT. In 1995, Monsanto's potato plants producing BT toxin were approved by the Environmental Protection Agency, following approval by the FDA, making it the first pesticide-producing crop to be approved in the United States. Monsanto subsequently developed BT maize, BT soybean, and BT cotton. Monsanto produces seed that has multiple genetic modifications, also known as stacked traits. For instance, cotton that make one or more BT proteins and is resistant to glyphosate. One of these, created in collaboration with Dow Chemical Company, is called Smart Stacks. In 2011, Monsanto launched the Genuity brand for its stacked trait products. As of 2012, the agricultural seed lineup included Roundup Ready alfalfa, canola, and sugar beet, BT and/or Roundup Ready cotton, sorghum hybrids, soybeans with various oil profiles, most with the Roundup Ready trait, and a wide range of wheat products, many of which incorporate the non-transgenic Clearfield imazamox-tolerant trait from BASF. In 2013, Monsanto launched the first transgenic drought tolerance trait in a line of corn hybrids branded Drought Bar. The trait is provided by the insertion of the gene from the soil microbe Bacillus subtilis. It was approved by the USDA in 2011 and by China in 2013. The Extend crop system includes seed genetically modified to be resistant to both glyphosate and dicamba, and a herbicide product, including those two active ingredients. In December 2014, the system was approved for use in the US. In February 2016, China approved the Roundup Ready 2 Extend system. The lack of European Union approval led many American traders to reject the use of Extend soybeans over concerns that the new seeds would become mixed with EU-approved seeds, leading Europe to reject American soybean exports. Monsanto, Dow Chemical, and 8 other chemical companies made Agent Orange for the U.S. Department of Defense. It was given its name from the color of the orange-striped barrels in which it was shipped, and was by far the most widely used of the so-called rainbow herbicides. Agent Orange is a chemical herbicide and defoliant, one of the tactical uses of rainbow herbicides. It was used by the U.S. military as part of its herbicidal warfare program, Operation Ranch Hand, during the Vietnam War from 1962 to 1971. The U.S. was strongly influenced by the British, who used Agent Orange during the Malayan Emergency. It is a mixture of equal parts of two herbicides, 2,4,5-T and 2,4-D. Agent Orange was produced in the United States beginning in the late 1940s and was used in industrial agriculture, and was also sprayed along railroads and power lines to control undergrowth in forests. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. military procured over 20 million U.S. gal, 76 million L, 17 million Impi gal, consisting of a 50-50 mixture of 2,4-D and dioxin-contaminated 2,4,5-T. 9 chemical companies produced it: Dow Chemical Company, Monsanto Company, Diamond Shamrock Corporation, Hercules Inc., Thomson Hayward Chemical Company, United States Rubber Company, Uniroyal, Thomson Chemical Company, Hoffman Taft Chemicals Inc., and AgriSelect. The government of Vietnam says that up to 4 million people in Vietnam were exposed to the defoliant, and as many as 3 million people have suffered illness because of Agent Orange, while the Vietnamese Red Cross estimates that up to 1 million people were disabled or have health problems as a result of exposure to Agent Orange. While the United States government has described these figures as unreliable, it has documented cases of leukemia, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and various kinds of cancer in exposed U.S. military veterans. The U.S. government has not conclusively found either a causal relationship or a plausible biological carcinogenic mechanism for cancers. An epidemiological study done by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showed that there was an increase in the rate of birth defects of the children of military personnel who were exposed to Agent Orange. The science on the causality between exposure and health problems remains incomplete. Agent Orange has also caused enormous environmental damage in Vietnam. Over 3,100,000 HA, 7,700,000 acres, or 31,000 square kilometers, 12,000 square miles of forest were defoliated. Defoliants eroded tree cover and seedling forest stock, making reforestation difficult in numerous areas. Animal species diversity is sharply reduced in contrast with unsprayed areas. The environmental destruction caused by this defoliation has been described by Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme, lawyers, historians, and other academics as an ecocide. The use of Agent Orange in Vietnam resulted in numerous legal actions. The United Nations ratified United Nations General Assembly Resolution 31 out of 72 and the Environmental Modification Convention. Lawsuits filed on behalf of both U.S. and Vietnamese veterans sought compensation for damages. Agent Orange was first used by British Commonwealth forces in Malaya during the Malayan Emergency. It was also used by the U.S. military in Laos and Cambodia during the Vietnam War because forests near the border with Vietnam were used by the Viet Cong. Genetic use restriction technology, colloquially known as terminator technology, produces plants with sterile seeds. This trait would prevent the spread of those seeds into the wild. It also would prevent farmers from planting seeds they harvest, requiring them to purchase seed for every planting, allowing the company to enforce its licensing terms via technology. Farmers have been buying hybrid seeds for generations instead of replanting their harvest because second-generation hybrid seeds are inferior. Nevertheless, most seed companies contract only with farmers who agree not to plant harvested seeds. Terminator technology has been developed by governmental labs, university researchers, and companies. The technology has not been used commercially. Rumors that Monsanto and other companies intended to introduce Terminator technology caused protests, for example, in India. In 1999, Monsanto pledged not to commercialize Terminator technology. The Delta Pine Land Company of Mississippi intended to commercialize the technology, but D&PL was acquired by Monsanto in 2007. Monsanto Terminator seeds were never commercialized nor used in any farmer's field anywhere in the world. The patent expired in 2015. Monsanto developed several strains of genetically modified wheat, including glyphosate-resistant strains in the 1990s. Field tests were done in the United States between 1998 and 2005. As of 2017, no genetically modified wheat had been released for commercial use. Agriculture Select Committee received up to £10,000 a year from Bell Pottinger on behalf of Monsanto. In January 2011, WikiLeaks documents suggested that U.S. diplomats in Europe responded to a request for help from the Spanish government. One report stated, "In addition, the cables show U.S. diplomats working directly for GM companies, such as Monsanto. In response to recent urgent requests by Spanish Rural Affairs Ministry, State Secretary Josef Puxeu and Monsanto, post requests renewed U.S. government support of Spain's science-based agricultural biotechnology position through high-level U.S. government intervention." The leaked documents showed that in 2009, when the Spanish government's policy approving under pressure from EU interests, Monsanto's director for biotechnology for Spain and Portugal requested that the U.S. government support Spain on the matter. The leaks indicated that Spain and the U.S. had worked closely together to persuade the EU not to strengthen biotechnology laws. Spain was viewed as a key GMO supporter and a leading indicator of support across the continent. The leaks also revealed that in response to an attempt by France to ban in late 2007, then U.S. Ambassador to France, Craig Robert Stapleton, asked Washington to calibrate a targeted retaliation list that would cause some pain across the EU, targeting countries that did not support the use of GM crops. This activity transpired after the US, Australia, Argentina, Brazil, Canada, India, Mexico, and New Zealand had brought in action against Europe via the World Trade Organization with respect to the EU's banning of GMOs. In 2006, the WTO had ruled against the EU. Monsanto was a member of Europa Bio, the leading biotechnology trade group in Europe. One of Europa Bio's initiatives is transforming Europe's position on GM food. It found an urgent need to reshape the terms of the debate about GM in Europe. Europa Bio proposed the recruitment of high-profile ambassadors to lobby EU officials. In September 2017, Monsanto lobbyists were banned from the European Parliament after the Monsanto refused to attend a parliamentary hearing into allegations of regulatory interference. After the 2010 Haiti earthquake, Monsanto donated $255,000 for disaster relief and 60,000 seed sacks, 475 tons of hybrid non-GM corn and vegetable seeds worth $4 million. However, a Catholic Relief Services, CRS, rapid assessment of seed supply and demand for the 5 most common food security crops found that the Haitians had enough seed and recommended that imported seeds be introduced only on a small scale. Emmanuel Profete, head of Haiti's Ministry of Agriculture's Service National Semencier, SNS, stated that SNS was not opposed to the hybrid maize seeds because they at least double yields. Louise Sperling, principal researcher at the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, CIAT, told HGW that she was not opposed to hybrids, but noted that most hybrids required extra water and better soils, and that most of Haiti was not appropriate for hybrids. Activists objected that some of the seeds were coated with the fungicides Maxim or Thuram. In the United States, pesticides containing Thuram are banned in home garden products because most home gardeners do not have adequate protection. Activists wrote that the coated recipients. The donated seeds were sold at a reduced price in local markets. However, farmers feared that they were being given seeds that would threaten local varieties. If you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you get notified each time I upload a new video. And if you let me know and I'm one of those who send you links all the time, I'll stop blowing up your messenger like Ted Kaczynski. And please share if you don't. Monsanto might get away with putting glyphosate in everyone's food and causing everyone cancer for the next 6 generations. Have a good evening.
This morning, fallout from a monumental verdict.
This case was historic.
Friday, a jury in San Francisco found biochemical giant Monsanto liable for former school groundskeeper Dwayne Johnson's cancer. Johnson says constant use of the household product Roundup led to his diagnosis of terminal non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Doctors have given him just months to live. The jury awarding $289 million in damages.
If you know you're going to die, you might as well not die in vain. You might as well say to yourself, well, let's put this out here, what happened to me.
Johnson's lawsuit is the first of hundreds against Monsanto, alleging it knew the weed killer's link to cancer and failed to notify the public. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified the chemical glyphosate, an active ingredient in Roundup, as, quote, probably carcinogenic to humans.
A unanimous jury here in San Francisco has told Monsanto enough. You did something wrong and now you have to pay.
Attorneys for Monsanto insist their product is safe and they plan to appeal.
The verdict today does not change the science.
But for thousands of plaintiffs, many suffering with cancer, the verdict is a beacon of hope.
And that's global, so that's bigger than me, way bigger than me. So I hope that light will be shining.
For today, Steve Patterson, NBC News.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.
Last Sunday, we told you about a WHO report that listed several chemicals as potentially cancer-causing, including glyphosate, found in the popular weed killer Roundup. Now, in an interview for an upcoming French documentary, a Canadian scientist has been caught in an Aaron Brockovich-like moment when he's asked to defend that chemical against links to cancer rates in Argentina. Take a look.
Do not believe that glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually. Not really, but
not really.
I know it wouldn't hurt me.
If you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
Okay, so you
no, but I know
so it's dangerous,
right? No, people try to commit suicide with it and fail fairly regularly.
Tell the truth.
It's not dangerous to humans. No, it's not.
So you're ready to drink one glass?
No, I'm not an idiot.
The clip is being shared widely. But despite headlines like these, the man being interviewed, Patrick Moore, is not a lobbyist for Monsanto, the makers of Roundup. He is, however, known for controversy.
I have somehow evolved into an environmentalist that supports nuclear energy and is somewhat skeptical of human-caused climate change.
Moore spent years early on with Greenpeace Canada, but it no longer recognizes him as a supporter and accuses him of turning into a paid mouthpiece for polluting companies. Meanwhile, glyphosate is still approved for use in this country, though Health Canada says it's looking into the WHO report.
In 2003 for saving their soybeans, which he did not do. He never grew a soybean in his life. Growing their seed, he didn't do it. As far as we could tell, he's the oldest man in the world to ever have been sued for saving seeds since God created seed. He's probably the only farmer to ever beat Monsanto hands down. even after the lawsuit was over, I couldn't make him believe it was over. He would cry and keep saying, oh, they're going to come back and sue me again. It destroyed him. It destroyed his life. He went to his grave, this grave, still afraid of him. He's at peace now, abiding in his destiny.
It's pretty hard to take you 80-something-year-old father to federal court on a walker and he's falsely accused by a big corporation. Your opposition is a bunch of bunny rabbit lawyers wearing a $1,000 suit, suing a man that went to war for the freedom for some scumbags to misuse.
Roll time back a little further when the earth was without form and he separated the waters and got him some dry land. I guess you could say God was the first farmer. And the first thing he did was he created grasses, plants, herbs, and trees that would have seed in itself, meaning that it would reproduce next year. My name's Michael White. I live in the rural northeast corner of Alabama. I'm a fourth-generation farmer. My great-grandfather's grist mill was out there, and I've heard my kinfolk say there would be 20 and 30 mules and wagons lined up out there bringing corn to be ground in the corn mill and wheat to be ground into flour. And old corn sheller, that's when you put an ear of corn in there and shelled it by hand. Corn would go in there, the cob would come out here, and the shell corn would fall in there. 1982, I saw a need for a seed merchant in this area, so I bought some seed cleaning machines. We bring the grain in out of the field or out of other bins. We bring it in here and it travels up through conveyors and comes down through this machines that gets the metal out and any kind of gravel or pebble, and then we bag it over there. I've been growing these seed about 20 years, some of them may be 30 years. We'll clean these and replant them next year. That way I don't have to go buy new seed every year. I save my own, which saves me about $20,000. I don't have to give it to some big agricultural corporation. Not many seed cleaning places are left. It's just got too dangerous. I mean, Monsanto sued about 7 farmers around here and they threatened to sue 75 farmers. They spread a lot of discord in this community. I could still clean for the public, but it's too dangerous. Monsanto will send a private investigator in here with a load of seed and lie to you about what he's got, and then you clean them and you're hung. If them was GMO seed and I did it on that machine, it would be illegal. Get sued, lose everything you got. That would be called assisting farmers to violate intellectual property rights. Thousands of years tradition of saving seed is over with. I was told by officials in Montgomery that they picked me for a poster boy. One of their salesmen threatened my life, claimed they had already killed a person. If I showed any weakness, they just showed more strength, so I wouldn't back down. the day they had to fess up to the death threat, just immediately they asked to go to mediation. I refused to go, and they'd been beating on me 4 or 5 years, and I wanted to beat on them for a while. They told me in court, said, you got them on the ropes, what you want to do? I said, I want to knock them out. But most farmers are running scared of Monsanto, so they've got in line and they dance when Monsanto plays the fiddle. They got a pretty well-oiled machine, slam a couple hundred farmers through court, and they have to come out with their lips zipped up. They silence most of them except 3 or 4 of us. Most farmers go broke before they ever get cleared for a jury trial. I was cleared for a jury trial. I would fight them again. There's snow and hail before I get into it. I don't think seed needs to be genetically altered. I don't think they need to be genetically modified. But they have a gene called the Terminator gene. It's spooky. It can cause seed like I have to not reproduce. Monsanto and the companies, they have both ends of the rope. I can't sue them if their seed gets in my field, and I don't trust them. I don't know what they're capable of. These soybeans would almost qualify as organic. Probably would if I'd have done the paperwork. I feel like I'm producing a safe product, and 10 years down the road, we find out some of these new seed are causing cancer, severe health problems. I'll still have a clear conscience. You eat every day and live once. These new GM crops are so high yielding, how come prices of grain is not falling, it's going up? Last few years, the seed price inflation was around 300%. Seed control is not a new weapon, it's a very old weapon. Pharaoh in Egypt did it, the Israelites had to go through and bag for seed. It's just not morally or economically right to be able to patent anything that reproduces. I don't think Monsanto wants to starve people. I think they're in it for the love of money. The root of all evil. Monsanto's corporation is not a human being, it's an entity. It has no soul. It won't be judged on Judgment Day. Of course, all giants fall. History repeats itself. Their day's coming.
Possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
You're right. It's fact. Yes. Yes. Similar event did take place. You're right. You were right.
Our research found a published report of a similar story.
Yes, it was.
A similar story happened to a young man in the Pacific Northwest about 20 years ago.
It happened. A similar event took place. You're right again. You're right.
A similar story happened to a sister in the Florida area.
You were correct. It's fact. It happened. This one took place.
A similar story occurred in the state of New Jersey about 20 years ago.
I am Mr. Obsidian. Prepare yourself for the Man of Black.